Right. Thank you. Welcome today to our program on sustainability in library programming. Today we have with us two very well qualified librarians who can talk about sustainability. We have Jennifer Ferriss, who's the Assistant Director at the Saratoga Springs Public Library, which was the second library to achieve Sustainable Library certification. Jen was a co-creator for the certification program, and she's also written a book with our other presenter, Lisa Kropp, a book chapter for libraries and sustainability, programs and practices for community impact. Jen currently serves as ALA counselor for the American Library Association Sustainability Roundtable and chair of the ALA Conference Committee. Lisa Kropp, our other presenter today, is the director of the Lindenhurst Memorial Library, which was the third library to achieve Sustainable Library certification from the Sustainable Libraries Initiative. Lisa has also served as coordinator of ALA's Sustainability Roundtable, SustainRT, and as I said, she co-authored a book chapter for libraries and sustainability programs and practices for community impact. And she is a frequent presenter both regionally and nationally on the topic of sustainability. Welcome, Jen and Lisa, and I will turn the presentation over to you. If anyone has a question, they can unmute themselves or pop it in the chat, and we will try to answer it as it comes up. Thank you.
All right, thank you. We're going to jump right in and we're going to get started. Thank you so much for inviting us to chat. And really just to share quickly the mission of the Sustainable Libraries Initiative. We've been around for about 6 or 7 years. And really we're created to activate library leaders to advance environmentally sound, socially equitable, and economically feasible practices to address both climate change and to help our communities co-create with their public libraries, especially thriving communities. So you'll see that thread throughout the slides today. And this is really what we focus on, whether it's programming, budgeting, environmental practices. This triple bottom line definition is that we really are aiming to be in that middle sweet spot of the Venn diagram where we're hitting upon all three of these qualities at the same time, being environmentally sound, socially equitable, and also economically feasible. So sustainable libraries really, it's not a new concept in certain ways, but what we're really looking to do is both connect with our communities as strong and authentic institutions and helping them have a powerful voice on topics that affect all of us. So it's not just a library issue, this is a humanity issue, right? So we want to be seen as catalysts for our local communities regarding social cohesion. Working on climate mitigation, I think this is one of the hardest things right now. Climate mitigation and climate adaptation is for library workers to take this on as a way of mentoring and showing other community leaders, other just community members, that these are inherent and embedded now in all of our jobs, that this is the partial responsibility of a public institution to be looking to work towards progress on these areas. Is it still me, Jen? I'm sorry, I didn't mark.
It is. It's both of us.
Okay.
So if you want to speak on the slide.
Okay. So what we're looking to do, and I think sometimes libraries get overwhelmed because this is such a large problem, is how do you build buy-in both for your staff, for maybe your trustees or boards members, and then again, your community residents. Like, why is this our problem? Why should the library be tackling this? If you look at the Sustainable Development Goals, so many things that are listed there are things that libraries have been doing for decades, well before there was the Sustainable Libraries Initiative. So again, this is not a new issue. There is a roadmap to sustainability that we have put out. You can download it. It's available as an app for Google, Windows, and iPhones, so that you can there are talking points in there. There are ways to show you how to get buy-in, simple questions that you can ask your community. And then also IFLA has a wealth of resources on their website as well that really advocate as to why this is an issue affecting libraries.
And so I want to speak about, those are resources that you can use, but like the reality of like how do you get staff buy-in? So
it's really nice lane. That looks cute. West Side Story.
thank you. So when I first came to the Saratoga Springs Public Library as a full-time employee, previous to that, I was at the Southern Adirondack Library System for 17 years. So when I came in, the board just passed their strategic plan, and sustainability was part of that plan. And so since I was a co-creator for the certification program, I asked as an activity if we could embark on that. So, so getting staff buy-in was super important. I rode the waves of that people kind of knew me in a part-time way, but I was also new. And so we had a staff day that year in which I talked about the certification program, how they would get a survey, which, asked questions about if they thought the library was sustainable, how, they are personally, in their, in their personal lives, what sorts of things they do to be sustainable in an environmental way. And then I asked if they wanted to be part of what at that time we called a green team. So like-minded people who want to get together to talk about how the library can move forward. And so that green team met. So I actually got a lot of responses from people who wanted to participate in this. And it was from all departments in our library, which was great. And so we just kept communicating. And not only did we communicate, in our group, since everyone represented from a different department, which I know is a luxury. I'm aware that some of you might be in very small libraries where you have volunteers, perhaps. It might just be you and you have to get buy-in from your trustees, or maybe your stakeholders is the mayor. So you get who you can, and you want to get people who are on board right away, and you just have them talk about it. Like you use your networks and you talk about it. So in a library our size, the talk about
I don't know if it's showing me or not, but
your peers and your coworkers. And then we had training, and through constant communication and training and knowing that we were going through a process over time, we had buy-in. Is everyone bought in? I'm not quite sure. I'd have to do a follow-up, but you take the people along who want to go along and you just move forward together. We still have struggles here. So even though we were certified in 2018 or 19, there's times where, it continues to be a struggle with purchasing materials. The pandemic created a lot of excessive stuff that we didn't want. We talked about like how we had masks that had to be dealt with. We had gloves, vinyl gloves. People wanted to go back to single-use water bottles because they didn't want to share individually packaged food when you want to give that to the teens or your own staff. So we took a step back, but at the time, that's also part of thinking about the health and wellness of your community. So you just have to sometimes offset if you have to keep moving forward with a health pandemic like we had. So that's how we also built buy-in, is just a lot of talking and communication and bringing people along who want to move forward with the process. So
Okay.
I think now we're going to dive in. Yep.
Yeah.
Me again. So repair cafes. I'm sure that by now you've heard about repair cafes or fix-it clinics. And maybe you have already had one in your library, but this is a great way to build social cohesion and deal with climate mitigation and build resilience as well. So you're offering your community an opportunity to gather together in a public space. They work side by side and learn together. They troubleshoot how to fix a broken item that may have sentimental meaning, or it just might be something that's broken that they aren't quite ready to put in the landfill. as I said, this hits like all three elements of sustainability, gathering people who may not typically come together in a different group setting, keeping materials out of landfills, and saving money. So our library has been partnering with a local organization called Sustainable Saratoga since 2018. We're about to have our next repair cafe in a couple weeks at our local college. I believe that's going to be our 9th repair cafe together. And we're always trying to reach different audiences with our repair cafes. During COVID, we actually met at a recreation center because it had so much space in it. So we met in a gym, but that recreation center was right next to public housing. So we were really trying to hope to tap into a different audience that way. And with our upcoming repair cafe, we're actually hoping to reach college students. And I just wanted to point out that if you have not, if you're interested in repair cafes and have not taken the step yet, Repair Revolution is a great book to start with. It'll tell you everything you need to know.
And we hosted, we're up to our 3rd. We're doing one at the end of April here at Lindenhurst, and we started really, really small. And this also can go back towards buy-in. So if you have a really small staff and you're like, well, I can't do this, volunteers are a huge asset to something like a repair cafe. And when you reach out into your community, you might not have the staff members to have an entire team approach on this, but you have community members that are passionate about this, and it's just finding them in terms of different organizations and small groups like Sustainable Saratoga. Maybe there's something much smaller in your backyard that you can partner with, a climate action group. So we also were able to purchase, besides doing the Repair Cafe, which is also a huge booster for just feeling good in your community. People bring things that mean a lot to them too. It's not just like fix my toaster oven. Some people are bringing jewelry, old clocks that have been in their family forever, and they're so grateful that we are doing this because we do live in a throwaway culture, or things aren't made the same anymore. So to be able to save things from a landfill is huge. Something else that we started doing at Lindenhurst is we did get some grant money, and we added a bike repair station, which is what you see on the right. There is a local bicycling club in Lindenhurst, and they heavily use this along with, we have a middle school on the corner. A lot of our schools are neighborhood-based schools, so kids can walk to and from their local school. So we have a lot of bike riders. So this is something that for us, gets a lot of value and usage. And then the local bike club started doing bike safety classes for us on an annual basis, so that we're also putting out into the community smart bicycle riders. And now we have the village picking up that we have this, and they brought in, similar to like a city bike program, they are now putting out rentable bikes throughout the village of Lindenhurst and advertising that there is this bike repair station for tire fill-ups, etc.
So South Huntington Public Library is located on Long Island as well. And if since I know where STLS region is, if I got specific on what county it is, you might be like me and just be like, it's Long Island, because I don't know it, but Lisa knows exactly where on Long Island it is. They came up with programs to bring their community together. So just like your area has its own weather-related issues like drought and epic snowfalls, Long Island has to deal with nor'easters and hurricanes. So South Huntington came up with some programs to get the young folks in their community to be prepared and learn about first responders. So they had a wacky weather program called All You're Prepared, and they, taught children about how to be safe and be a little bit prepared for power outages and hurricanes and fires. And they received a pillowcase go bag, which helped. And then we all, several of us have probably had a sort of a big truck program or get to know, your police officer, your fire department. In Saratoga, we're a horse town, if you haven't known. And so we always invite our police horses to pay a visit. And it's a nice way just for, to bring the animal, or in this case, fire truck, to bridge the gap so children learn about the people who are helpers in our community. And then another great program that I thought that South Huntington did was Crafts for a Cause. So then they had patrons make thank you cards for the police officers and firefighters and first responders and donated them. So it became a teen monthly community service project. Another project that they had is, a garden in which they used as a learning, almost like a learning lab for children for their STEM-based programs. So that's another way to get your community involved and learn just a little bit about how to be sustainable and to be prepared in emergency situations. And then Haverstraw King's Daughter Public Library is in Rockland County. And here's some examples that they did that promote social cohesion, deepening the connection between community members and showing that they are diverse. So they made a strong commitment to equity, diversity, inclusion. And so intergenerational programs, staff training, Comic Cons bring a whole bunch of people together. They had drag queen story hours, dog therapy, and I always love this one when you can have people donate either costumes or prom dresses or something and then sell them for, or just give them away as a program as well.
And other ways that you can, again, if you don't have the capacity to do all of this yourself, partnering with other local organizations and community members in your district. So we have a Friends of the Library group that I call Small But Mighty. There's about 5. There's more people that probably have given us money, and there's about 5 people that actually volunteer and do things like organize the book sales and stuff. But they also did a Halloween costume swap for us a few years ago. That was so popular. Again, I'm cleaning out my 96-year-old aunt's house right now as she's moving into an assisted living facility. And it's so hard for her to get rid of stuff. But if I tell her that I'm donating it and bringing it to the library, like craft supplies and things that we can reuse, it makes her feel so much better. And I think that's the same thing with the Halloween swap. People spend a lot of money on these things sometimes. And so knowing that it's getting used again makes them feel good. Our local legislator, Kevin McCaffrey, is always looking for an audience. Let's be real about it. So during non-election season, I'm happy to give him a room where he books a room. And he just brought in February, the police department and New York Citizen Preparedness Training Program to give away go-to kits, emergency go kits to our community members. Lindenhurst is a South Shore based library in Suffolk County. I am a mile from the Great South Bay. We're about half a mile from local canals. And while that seems far, during Superstorm Sandy, the Great South Bay came up a half mile and flooded a half mile of neighborhoods and the community, including the canals. And so there are still people locally who are having their houses raised or had to abandon their house because they weren't able to do it. So one of the things that we got a small grant from ALA, which is another great resource. They had climate resilience grants of like mini grants of about $500. And we participated in that. And then working with a group crew, communities responding to extreme weather, we were able to designate the library as a climate resilience hub. And really, a lot of it is marketing, right? Our library system works with the emergency preparedness department of our local county police. And he asked libraries, would you be willing to be listed as an official warming or cooling station? And we're like, absolutely. That gets us visibility into the community, that we're, helping our community in these areas as climate issues affect them in this way. So, and then the other thing that we did was our friends helped us with the Trex Recycling Challenge. Again, throwaway culture, so much soft plastic, it's overwhelming. And this was like a passive program. So it doesn't take almost any staff time other than somebody organizing with the friends. And we collected 500 pounds of soft plastics to recycle. And then Trex sends you a bench that is made entirely out of recycled plastic products. So again, it's like a nice visibility tool in the community.
So now I'm just going to talk a little bit about, these are partnerships, and Charlotte Library in Vermont, it's like southwest of Burlington, Vermont. They have this great partnership between a senior service organization, Vermont, which has a lot of agriculture, and as much agriculture as they also have food deserts, and they were able to get a Charlie cart as well. So so basically, the Vermont Harvest of the Month program is run by 3 nonprofits in Vermont. It supports and encourages healthy diets and supports the local economy. So they provide ready-to-go materials, for which you can see on the left of your screen, for the library, and they partner with AgeWell, which provides meals to seniors each week. So these meals, I believe I even looked, are like every Thursday they can expect to have this ready to go healthy meal from the Vermont Harvest of the Month program. And the Charlie cart is something that both Lisa's library and our library has. It's an expensive, it's a pricey but excellent. It's so cool. It has great appliances. It's a mobile kitchen. It has KitchenAid stuff, all sorts. It's what you wish your kitchen could be if you could have it. We got ours through our library system. They provide grants for innovative programs, so we purchased ours that way. And Lisa, you received yours through Bullet Aid?
We received ours through Bullet Aid from our local assemblywoman, and it comes with a K through 12 curriculum, but it's really for all ages. And it comes with like 25, because it's like classroom sets of scrapers and everything you need to run a cooking program at your library. I put the link to the organization in the chat if anyone's interested in it. It is pricey, but like for us, we just went through a building renovation and we didn't have the room or the money to put a full working kitchen. And so this for us gave us the ability to move beyond presenters doing things and having staff-led programs showing kids especially how to be sustainable with their food and make their own food.
And ours is currently used by presenters. We partner with Cornell Cooperative, who comes in and does healthy cooking classes for our patrons. And we do hope, since we do have a van, that one day the Charlie cart will actually fit on it and we can bring it out into the field and have mobile programs where people can't quite get to the library.
Okay, this is a little one-off, but so we talked a few times about gardening and seed libraries and empowering, your community to be more conscious about, where their food's coming from. So there's a Lindenhurst gardening club as well. Lindenhurst is a very vibrant town. It's they have very a lot of group organizations and they're all active. It's amazing to me. But this gardening club, somebody donated to us the loofah seeds, and we really didn't know what they were. And it looks like a zucchini, it looks like a cucumber. And on the right, you see it's an actual loofah plant. And so we dried them out and we were able to have a do-it-yourself kind of program on making body scrubs for the shower. And the middle program slide is just what it looks like. It is a very robust plant, but for pollination purposes, it was fabulous because we do have a large community garden that you can't see behind this vertical plant, but it brought a lot more pollinators into our backyard than we had before. And we are working, I have 2 staff members who took a bee workshop through Cornell Cooperative Extension. I'm trying to figure out a way to get beehives on our property if possible.
So brave. You know, I scanned the internet before we put this presentation together, and you know, we were supposed to talk about sustainable program, but you're already doing it. So sometimes, you know, if you don't realize, you know, that you're actually already doing very sustainable things. So I just want to point out, I'm sure there's many more things that are happening in the community. I tried to pick something from every county. You are a wide library system, got a lot, take up a lot of area in New York State, and you're doing fabulous things. And so is your library system. The blood pressure kit is a great idea. And I don't know if anyone, you know, we can take the time right now if anyone else has wants to showcase what they're already doing that fits within sustainability. We'd be happy to hear what you're doing as a sharing moment at this time. Anyone brave enough to talk? All right, well, if you think about it, you want to share at the end, we'll be happy to hear what you're doing because it gets us excited and gives Lisa and I new ideas as well.
Part of sustainability for us when we're talking about social cohesion especially is also making sure that we are supporting staff, especially in areas where we either have small staffs or just coming out of the last 2 or 3 years. I feel like we all really are tired still and needing to build each other back up. And so again, I'm not sure how many of you have access to the employee assistant program, but this is something that our board of trustees is part of our buy-in for being like a good member to even our staff members. They commit to buy in to provide this where people can have sliding scale therapy sessions available to them, financial assistance. It's available to their family members as well by default. So it's a much larger umbrella. We have also done, so the hearts, I know they're not so sustainable because it's a lot of cutouts. However, it was like this one-off thing that we thought about of spread the love. And all those hearts are our staff members. I have a lot of part-time staff. So we asked people to fill up the middle with just good compliment, something that they like about a fellow staff member, something they do well, and it kind of literally exploded, and people loved it, and it's still up. So we said to them, you know, like you can take the hearts that are, you know, like dedicated to you if you want to put them in your area, and we were going to move on and have some, you know, something else in the staff room, and it's still up there, and I see people reading them. And so it's just this positive thing. And then on the top, this is a mix of staff and community members. We started doing Wednesday wellness walks, both to get people out of the library and to get us out of the library and just into our community. And what we ask is participants to donate non-perishable food. We have a little free pantry that we just repurposed a little free library. So it is very little, but we put it on the side of our building. So it's a little privacy factor. It's not right by the front door. And so our staff and the wellness walkers kind of help us replenish that.
And for those who know me, I like to be outdoors and athletic. And so in the capital region, we have a bike to work challenge, and it's in the month of May. It is also the bike to work month, but there is a challenge in the capital district of a percentage of employees who participate in bike to work day. It's based on large or small organizations and who traveled the farthest to work. There's always somebody who's like from the northern Saratoga who has to go all the way to southern Albany County who wins every year. It's impressive that he commutes that way. So that's something that our organization has been doing for many years, and we have consistently won the highest percentage of us large. I think we fall into the large organization because we have 100 staff who participate every year. We usually get about a quarter of our staff riding their bike to work. And then something that we're going to do this year, and it may have happened in the past, I realized that we have a lot of runners on, not a lot, we have a significant amount of runners of all different paces. And there is the workforce challenge that happens every year in Albany, where organizations from throughout the Capital District get together, teams, and they run or walk, show their colors. So they also have like a t-shirt contest, and it's just another team building opportunity and wellness in the sense that you're getting out, doing something outside of work, and all those good endorphins for exercising.
Long Island has one of those. It's the Marcus Workplace Challenge, and it's the same thing. So that it's really nice. People bring food, they barbecue together, and it's a mixture. We have mostly walkers, not runners, but it's like a 5K kind of event, and it is nice to team build outside of your building, because I think when we're in our buildings, we have blinders on, and most of what I think we think about sometimes are the problems or the overwhelmness of our to-do lists. And so getting to see each other again as human beings outside of the building, I think helps so much with mental health wellness inside the building.
That leads to a great segue. Again, we have a staff development day every year. It's a full day in September. And we always try and have in the morning an educational component, and in the afternoon, we call it wellness. And over the years, it's taken on different forms. We've hired outside consultants to come in. We've done strategic planning. We bring in community partners to talk about their organizations. At one point when I first got there, one of our staff days was to learn about the sustainability certification program and organizations that would support that mission. But this past September, we were feeling like everyone during the pandemic, which I know is officially over soon, according to the federal government, we were all going through different phases of burnout, and no one was ever on the same time schedule. But we realized that the staff hadn't had an opportunity in a long time just to get together and have some fun, or to do what makes them feel good about themselves and being around their coworkers. So with the help of our friends, we were able to go to the Saratoga Spa State Park, and we got a space there. So we had the whole outdoor of the SPAC grounds to ourselves, which was amazing. And our topic was finding joy, which has a great that was our learning thing, is how to find joy, reconnect, what makes you excited to come to work every day. And we shared, and it was greatly therapeutic. And in the afternoon, instead of having structure, we had like stations, and we told people, like, if you just want to sit in a corner and like be near people but not talk to them because you're an introvert and this was so overwhelming to begin with, like, it's okay, you can do that. We gave permission to people to be comfortable and do what they want. And so some of the things we had, paint, the 3x3 squares. We did some artwork. We had a cupcake bash going on. We just had puzzles. We had games. We had movies streaming. We had outdoor activities. People just went for walks or sat. We had this great patio, and it was a nice day. It cooperated. And we just sat and enjoyed each other's company. So, again, you can have, even though it's nice to have the outside of work thing, it also having a semi-structure to your work day, staff development, getting together also is a nice way to get together as well. And we always take a group shot, and this was the goofy photo because, can't be so serious all the time.
Jen, I want to pick up on one thing you had over there, by the way,
Sure.
again, as far as like passive programming, sometimes as a way to start, and maybe a lot of you are already doing this. But we had a bunch of staff members who are puzzle people, and they asked if they were swapping puzzles internally. And then one of them was like, hey, can we do this with the public? And we advertised it, and we just put them out on a counter that we're not using right now as we're kind of feeling out our space, our new space. And we just did like a sustainable Saturday sign and had all of these puzzles on display. And like within 48 hours, they were wiped out. And then we started doing this when we're cleaning out other areas. We had a separate building from my main library building. 35 years ago, the board purchased a house. I'm on like a partial residential street, and that's where admin used to be. And so there was an old kitchen in there, and so people get like flower deliveries if they're lucky enough. This doesn't happen often, but like they would get flower deliveries from somebody, and we had like a graveyard of old vases. And we were like, you know what? We have a dishwasher now as part of our new building. We, put in a dishwasher so that we could buy regular plates and everything to reuse. So we threw all these vases in the dishwasher and did the same thing. Sustainable Saturday. Do you need, a vase? Some staff took them for craft programs, but they get used, the people just take them. And so instead of things that we used to say throw away, we're making them available. And now they've asked us to do other swaps as well, yarn swaps for knitters and crocheters so that they don't have to buy new colors and things like that. And it's just something that doesn't take us a lot of time at all, but it helps us get rid of some of our excess supplies instead of throwing them away. We're fast talkers, Jen, so we have plenty of time for questions.
Yeah, if anyone has a question, please feel free to unmute. I'm just going to share what Becky wrote in the chat. She said, I don't know if it counts, but she does the homeschool program, and she gets a lot of her programming materials from yard sales or secondhand stores. And she also said she gets a lot of things in bulk, and she's been doing this for over 7 years, and it's great for the budget, and kids love it. I think that totally counts, and good job, Becky.
I agree.
A really quiet group here today. If there's anything you want to brag about, please feel free. We love to hear any ideas of things your library has done or is thinking about doing.
Or just even roadblocks that you feel you might have with the buy-in factor. I'll tell you, with my library, we were coming off of a failed bond vote when we started doing the work in sustainability. And so I was the one that presented this to the board, and it was, we used it as a way to reconnect with the community because we've realized we weren't giving value to our community. It's something that we say is a talking point all the time, that public libraries are the community center, but we weren't serving in that capacity. And so we had to go outside of our building and really reconnect with our community. And this is one way that we were able to do it. in a way that provided value to them, getting a public construction grant and putting solar on the property so that we were saving taxpayers money, showing them how quickly it was going to get paid off, helped us build some of the buy-in to move forward with other projects. Oh, composting.
Cool. Yeah. Jess Westlake from Montour Falls writes, we are a compost drop spot for Finger Lake scraps to gardens, grant funded through the village and managed by Cornell Cooperative Extension Schuyler. That's awesome, Jess. Jess, how does that work? Do people just bring like their food scraps and put them outside your library? I have to come see this.
Somebody did this. Jen, was it your library or is it Matt? Somebody was doing where they partnered with an institution that if they had leftover food at the end of like a staff day or something that they would be able to donate it as well to like a local food bank.
We didn't do that, but again, because some of our staff might have food insecurity when we have our staff days or just any food in general, because all of us probably have perhaps, and they're not sustainable, all those extra plastic containers from your takeout. I brought them all to staff day. I bring whenever I have all cleaned and people can bring home the leftover food. I do know that Nyla one year partnered with someone and anything that was not served in the kitchen was donated.
That's right. That was at conference. I forgot.
Yes. Yep.
Great. Well, thank you, Jess, for clearing that up for me. So if I come over to Montour Falls and I see your purple trash bin, I'm gonna drop some food into it and get that composted. That's pretty cool. Right. Does anyone else have any questions or comments? You can't miss it, Jess says. That's awesome. Oh, Becky asked, I'm sorry if I missed it somehow, but how do you become certified? Lisa or Jen, would you like to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. I'll let Lisa talk. Change the slide.
Okay. So you can do a couple of different things. You can join as a personal member of the Sustainable Library Initiative. Your library can join as a member. And when your library joins, they have the option of adding at any time the Sustainable Library Certification Program, which is a separate one-time fee, and it's based on the annual budget of a library. And then you pay that once, and however long it takes your library to become certified, you do it yourself. Some places do it in 12 to 18 months. Some take 2 years or longer. And it's done that way to really be able to be scalable to the size of a library's staff. So because we recognized that a lot of the libraries that were joining were small, like Jen works with the cohort in Vermont, and they, I think, are very similar sized, a lot of their libraries with upstate New York, particularly, that they have smaller staff and population areas that they serve. So once you join and the certification program, then you get a mentor attached to your library to help walk you through the entire process. And one of the first things that you have to do as a requirement is building the buy-in. So there are the staff surveys, presentations to the board, to your staff, and your mentor, and the Sustainable Libraries Initiative has paid staff. They have a paid staff member that also helps work on this with our libraries to walk them through the entire process. And it's like a whole other side of the website that you get access to. And as a member, there's also specialized resources that are not on the public facing side of the website. So you get access to those as well.
And Becky, I'll just let you know that STLS joined the certification program about a month or so ago. So we're going to be embarking on the certification process, and we will be happy to guide any of our members as well. So reach out if that's something anybody would be interested in. We'd love to help or do it with you. So There's another message here. Our library is collecting old crayons in April to send to the National Crayon Recycling Program, where they will be made into new crayons. I love that. That's so cool. And there's so many like books you could partner with that and story time, like The Day the Crayons Quit and all those fun books. That's awesome.
That is great. And that's one of those things that's so simple to do. When you start looking at businesses' websites, by the way, a lot of them bury it on their websites, but they do some level of recycling programs now. So we're working with BIC, the pen company, and they will recycle plastic pen cartridges of any brand. So we have a rotating little recycling display. So we're recycling those. I don't know what they're called because my kids are older, but I see kids everywhere like sucking on those pouches of food. And I forget the brand name of those, but we're recycling those as well. And then the little bite muffin bags. So like things that are those single package things, those companies all will recycle them in some way, shape, or form. So we kind of work. Is it perfect recycling? Probably not, but is it building awareness in our community that we're able to do this? Absolutely. And the Trex challenge, by the way, again, the mayor's beautification committee in our village saw us do it, and now they're doing it so that they can get these benches to place throughout the community. So it's also a slow burn of people seeing the library doing this over and over, and you see it start getting assimilated into your community.
It's great. Thank you. Well, thank you, Jen and Lisa, for all this extremely helpful information. I'll give out one last call. Any more questions or comments? Please go ahead.
And people can reach out to the two of us via email or phone. If you have questions after the fact, or a few months from now, you start working on this, feel free to get in touch.
Great. Thank you so much. Have a
Thank
great
you.
day, everybody, and we'll see you soon.
Hi, thank you.
Thank you.